Hey everyone! So, we're gonna have a bloody Valentine's Day. Now, I've used a ton of fake blood doing movie effects and haunted attractions, but my absolute favorite by far is Gelatin FX blood. Now, there's a lot of info out there on how to use skin-colored gelatin for appliances and scars and makeup effects, but what a lot of people don't know is you can use gelatin to make one of the coolest bloods ever. First off, it's simple to make, it's inexpensive, it's reusable, it's easy to clean up, it's flexible, it dries looking wet, and all of the ingredients you can find at your local grocery store. Seriously though, it's awesome. I've used this for makeup effects, horror displays, costumes, fake body parts, haunt props, photo shoots, and a million other projects. So today, I'm gonna show you how to make Gelatin FX blood from simple everyday items you can find at your grocery store. And then, I'm gonna give you just a few examples of the endless possibilities of how you can use Gelatin FX blood. So, let's get bloody! One of the greatest things about gelatin blood is you can find all the ingredients at your local grocery store. All you're gonna need is a small bottle of blue food coloring, a large bottle of red food coloring, Knox unflavored gelatin, 100% pure glycerin, and a tiny bit of tap water. This is the recipe I got when I started in the effects industry and have been using for over 30 years. But there are many variations on this recipe and I encourage you to experiment and try them all. I'll leave some alternate recipes in the description below. Today we are going to make a 200 gram batch and this is how much we need of each ingredient. I already did the math for you. You're welcome. First, we weigh out 160 grams of glycerin. And close is good enough. You can vary these ratios quite a bit. Second, we weigh out about 30 grams of gelatin. And finally, the 10 grams of tap water. Next, you're going to need a microwave-safe clear glass bowl or cup. Dump the glycerin and water into it and mix it thoroughly. Now we'll add the red food coloring. Add a little splash and mix it up. If it looks too transparent, then add a little more. And a little more until you have a nice strong red color. Next, we will add just a couple drops of the blue food coloring. You only want to add like 2 or 3 to really create that deep dark blood color. Be very careful though not to add too much or you will end up with purple blood. Alright, it looks pretty bloody to me. The next step is to heat it up in the microwave. I put it in for 2 minutes and kept an eye on it. You do not want this to boil over. Heat it up to where it's just about to start boiling. 1 minute and 50 seconds seemed about perfect for this size batch. Now that it's nice and hot, it's time to mix in the gelatin. Sift in a little at a time while you are mixing to avoid it clumping up too much. You need to mix this very thoroughly, smashing all the clumps with your stir stick against the side and scraping the sides often. Keep checking it. If it looks grainy and lumpy, then keep stirring until it looks smooth and blended. And once it does, stir it a little more. And now, you just let it sit overnight. And here it is, 24 hours later, all solidified and ready to use. First, we need to heat it up in the microwave and re-liquefy it. I put it in for 1 minute and check it every 10 seconds. You can see it starts to melt pretty fast, and you do not want to overheat this, and boiling it can ruin it. Just heat it up enough to liquefy it. The 1 minute was perfect. It is now a great, thick, syrupy consistency and ready to use. It's always good practice to first do a temperature test on the back of your hand. That way you don't burn an actor or melt a prop. It should be hot, but definitely not scalding. Alright, it's time to get bloody. Here's just a few examples of the endless possibilities of what you can do with gelatin blood. So say you have a vampire scene and need glasses of fresh blood. Pour some in a glass, slosh it around, drip some down the sides, and once it solidifies, you won't have to worry about having a bunch of wet blood that can spill and get all over the place. One of my favorite things to do is taking cheap store-bought props, body parts, heads, hearts, and plussing them up with some gelatin blood. It can really bring them to life. You can create great drips, puddles, and really gore up a stump, especially by stretching it around as it cools. Another great trick is to use a hair dryer on its cold setting to freeze drips in midair. First, apply the gelatin blood to your prop, then hit it with the cold air and allow the blood to slowly run off. The cold air will start to solidify the drips, and you can always keep adding more to make them longer. You can also just simply pour gelatin blood over props and set pieces to create that fresh dripping blood look where you don't want to have to worry about the mess of wet blood. Gelatin blood is also super cool for masks and costumes. Here I am adding it to a My Bloody Valentine mask replica that I made from the 2009 remake. The original is one of my all-time favorite slashers from the 80s, but dang, those masks are hard to find. Again, this is just a small taste of the many things you can do with gelatin blood. It really is one of my favorite non-permanent types of blood to use for makeup effects, haunts, horror displays, and costumes. And now, let's see the real magic. So after a few minutes, once the blood is cooled and solidified, you can handle it, peel it right up, and use it for whatever you like, mess-free. And although it adheres really well to most surfaces, it peels right off with ease. But it can lock onto porous surfaces and fabrics. It hardens into a rubber-like consistency similar to silicone, and it's actually pretty strong. If it seems too weak though, you can add more gelatin or a product called sorbitol that can help strengthen it. It sticks well to your skin, but peels off with ease, and can always be reapplied with Prozaid or spirit gum. And it really is awesome for when you need a cup or container full of wet-looking blood, because there's no spills if it gets kicked over. And any leftover mess at all can be cleaned up with just warm water and a paper towel. Gelatin FX blood can also be poured into molds, and this is a great way to store it. Some people pour it into ice cube trays, but I prefer big, ugly worms. Once they have set up, just pop them out and stick them into a Ziploc bag to store them until you are ready to melt them down and use it again. They say gelatin blood can have a shelf life, but I've stored it in bags like these for over 20 years and it still works perfect. My favorite way to store gelatin blood, though, is to just pour it straight into a Ziploc bag and lay them flat. Then, when you're ready to use it, just cut off what you need and melt it down. And now I'm going to leave you with this awesome pro tip. If you are going to be working with gelatin blood for long periods of time, grab a coffee mug warmer and an old mug. Melt your gelatin blood in the microwave, pour it into the mug, turn on the warmer, and it keeps it at the perfect working temperature. This way you don't have to keep running back and forth to the microwave every few minutes. It's perfect for when you're doing makeup jobs on set. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and now, go have a bloody good Valentine's Day!